Welcome into the Main Event Broadcasting Network. I'm Danielle Jenkins, Assistant Director of Athletic Communications, and I'm joined today by Athletic Director and Head Baseball Coach Jim Peeples to discuss the upcoming 2016 baseball season. Well, Coach, thanks for making some time to join us today here on the Main Event Broadcasting Network. We certainly appreciate it. We know you're a very busy man, as you are a man of many hats now, the head baseball coach as well as athletic director. Tell us a little bit about the transition into taking that athletic director spot from being an assistant AD.
I think the hardest thing, Danielle, has been I am a very routine-oriented person. Everything I do on a daily basis kind of follows a routine, and I've had pretty much the same routine for 14 years. And this year has been a process of learning a different routine. And I think the challenge so far this spring is just figuring out how to manage my time effectively with a new routine. So the wonderful thing is I have great help all the way around me. Coach Purdy taking on the SWA duties and being an assistant athletic director. Timmy taking on more responsibility and moving into a role as an assistant athletic director. And then having two guys that have coached with me for 13 years. With Coach Dombrowski and Coach Scaly, everybody's taken on a little more responsibility. So, I've got to continue to delegate and allow people to do jobs that they do really well. And then I just got to make sure that things are getting done. But it's been interesting and probably even a bigger challenge than I even anticipated. So it's been an interesting year so far.
Well, you mentioned those two guys that join you out there on the diamond. You guys have a unique setup here at Piedmont, as you guys have been together for quite some time. Mm-hmm. Coach Richard Dombrowski and Justin Scaly did the math and figured out that you guys will be coaching your 500th game together here at Piedmont. Wow. With the 25th game of the season this year. A remarkable number. Mm-hmm. Also remarkable success that you guys have all had together. What does that mark mean to you to have been able to keep this unit intact for so long?
Well, I recruited both those guys years and years ago, and to be able to bring them here, watch them get their master's degrees, and then watch the school reward their hard work and reward them with full-time positions has really been a blessing. And for us, we're not guys that coach together. We're family. That's really what it's all about. And I think we all share the same goal, and that's to just make the young men in our program better people. And when you have two guys that share that same goal, we're always coming from the same place. So 500 games, I didn't even realize it's been that many that we'll have spent together. So, that really puts it into perspective. But we could never have the success here that we've had without those two guys. They're instrumental in everything that we've done and everything that we've accomplished. So it's not about me. I've had great help, and I'm very appreciative that we've been able to coach together that long. So it's a blessing. It really is.
Well, taking a look at the guys on the field, you had a great senior class last year in 2015, another strong senior class coming into this year. What have you seen from those guys throughout their career at Piedmont, and what type of leadership do you expect from them this season?
Well, first of all, this is a group of young men who have played an awful lot of baseball together the last 3 years. And the thing that I have been most impressed with from the minute we walked on campus in August, this group of seniors has done everything that they could to lead by example. And they've embraced the freshmen. They've taught them the Piedmont way. They've included our young guys in everything that they do. It's a group of young men that are incredibly humble, that understand that every piece to our puzzle is an important piece. And they've just set a great example day in and day out. So we've had a lot of great senior classes. This group to this point with what they've done, I'm just so impressed because each of them leads from a place of strength too. And I think that's that they have that self-awareness to understand where their areas of strength are and to stay inside that and not step outside that and trust other guys who have different areas of strength has been really neat. But they come and they wear their hard hats every day and they set a great example, and our young kids can't do anything else but follow their lead. So that's been a real blessing. There's no doubt about it.
Taking a look specifically at the pitchers, you've got a couple of staples coming back in the relief, of course, in Josh Thomas and Alan Tokars. Who have you seen that stood out to you so far that you think will be making an impact and getting in that rotation?
Those two guys are a great place to start because the two of them will probably both break the appearance record for a career, and having those guys be the guys that get the last outs in a ball game is comforting when you're in the dugout. I think everybody has an unbelievable amount of confidence that when we give them the baseball, we know what the result's going to be. We've got a young man who transferred in here from Columbus State, Riley Presnell, who we recruited, really hard 2 years ago. Wasn't working out at Columbus State. He wasn't, really getting the opportunities that he wanted, and he contacted us this summer and said he'd like to give it a shot here. So, we're expecting Riley to take on a lot of responsibility. We've got Alex Aston, who is a senior in the classroom. Alex had to have Tommy John surgery his freshman year, so he's a redshirt junior, but senior in the classroom, and he's been with this group of seniors the whole way through. Alex, as the season went on a year ago, really started to become the guy that we thought he was going to be when we recruited him. So I think, we're expecting Alex to, pitch a lot of innings for us and play a big role. And then we've just got a lot of good pieces, and we need each of those guys to be really effective in the role that we give them. And I think that we're capable of doing that. I really like our depth on the mound. I think we can put a lot of guys out there in any situation, and they're going to pitch effectively if they just stick to what they can do well. So I feel pretty good about our pitching depth right now.
Well, moving to the position players, you've got a lot of those coming back this year. So what does that provide as far as the team chemistry, just already knowing, going through the motions with one another to really get the ball rolling early this season?
Well, you start with you're returning your whole infield. That's a blessing. Those guys are tremendous. We're returning our number one backup in the infield, Caleb Norton, who is just an unbelievable defender. So not only you're returning a nucleus of guys in the infield, but then you're returning your best backup. So your depth is solid. And then we've got Evan Gresham coming back, who's been, I think, one of the best hitters in Division III baseball in the South for the last 2 years. He just is so consistent. So now you put a guy that's hit in the middle of your lineup for 2 years, and you know that he's back, and that's a pretty good place to start. So, those guys are very comfortable with what we do. Their baseball IQs are all very high, which also is wonderful because they do a tremendous job coaching up the young guys and giving them the nuances of how we try to play the game, and having a group that has played that much, that understands the game as well as they do, and then translate that into how they're working with the young kids. It's a good place to be right now.
Well, the season gets started at the end of the week here at home at Loudermilk, but you've also got a pair of home tournaments coming up this year that's going to provide fans the opportunity to see some really great baseball. Tell us about those two tournaments coming up and the quality of teams that you guys have been able to bring in.
Well, back when we were an independent in the old Great South Athletic Conference days, when we had to scramble to fill a 40-game schedule, really the only people that ever really wanted to come and play here were people who thought they could come and kick our butt. So it was a great place for us to be as a program because we saw the best in Division III baseball, and we knew where we needed to get to to compete with people like that. So, we've gone back in this USA South schedule this year to an 18-game conference schedule, so had to fill 22 games. I reached out to folks that we haven't had the opportunity to play in a few years when we made the move to the USA South. Fortunately, having good relationships with those folks have allowed us to put these two tournaments together. So the first weekend, we've got Millsaps coming in, who made the regional a year ago. We have Virginia Wesleyan, who finished second in the ODAC. And then we have a team from York who has been one of the best programs year in and year out in the Capital Athletic Conference. So those 3 games will be very challenging early in the season. And then we get a little later in the year and, we have what is going to look a lot like a regional, except we haven't been in a few years, but it'll be great to get Marietta College back here. Coach Brewer was one of the first guys to agree to come down and play us. We returned the favor a few years ago and actually took our team to Marietta. They're coming off a regional appearance. Coach Rainey at Adrian's bringing his club back. They're a perennial regional team, and they win their conference pretty much, it seems like, every year. And then Coach Weisberg and the Birmingham Southern crew, they're one of the top programs in the South region year in and year out. So I think there'll be a lot of eyes on Demorest, Georgia within the D3 baseball world that weekend, and I just hope that we can compete and play representative baseball that, I think folks are used to out of Piedmont College, but it'll be a challenge, no doubt, those 2 weekends.
Absolutely. It's sure to be an exciting time. Now, not a tournament setup, but you have the opportunity to travel out to Texas and have a 3-game stretch in just over a week's time. Tell us a little bit about that trip and what's so special about that for the guys.
Well, a lot of our guys, first to start with, have never been on an airplane, so that's going to be interesting next Thursday, getting on an airplane and knowing probably half the guys on your team, this will be their first time ever getting on an airplane. But this really has happened over the last 2 summers. Ben Shipp, who's the head coach at Mary Hardin Baylor and was their former athletic director, Ben has been our Division III National Baseball Chair. And our time in Appleton the last 2 summers, we've just talked about things that we could do to help the West region. The West region is kind of very isolated in Division III baseball, and it's been difficult for them to find games against people from other regions. So Ben and I started talking about, would I be interested in bringing our team, and did I think other teams from this part of the country would take a trip to Texas? And I think while we're out there, there's going to be 10 other Division III baseball programs that are going to be out there playing against Mary Hardin, Baylor, Concordia, and Southwestern. So it really should be a cool weekend. And there's going to be games going on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and a lot of good programs out there. So I'm excited. Like I said, half our kids have probably never been on an airplane, and I would say probably more than that have never been to Texas. So
absolutely.
Going and experiencing Texas and what that's all about. Most of the teams are just outside the Austin, Texas area, so our kids are really excited about making that trip. So that should be a lot of fun, and hopefully we can play good baseball out there.
There you go. Sounds like a good one. Well, Coach, we're certainly excited about that, as well as the entire schedule. Looking forward to getting out there to Loudermilk. We certainly appreciate you stopping by today.
Not a problem. Thank you, Danielle.
Once again, thanks for joining us today on the Main Event Broadcasting Network as we sat down with head baseball coach and athletic director Jim Peeples to discuss the upcoming 2016 baseball season. I'm Danielle Jenkins. We'll see you next time.